Frodo Baggins, a name etched in the annals of Middle-earth as a symbol of resilience, courage, and unyielding hope. Hailing from the peaceful Shire, Frodo was far from the image of a traditional hero. Born to Drogo Baggins and Primula Brandybuck, Frodo's early years were marked by the warmth and simplicity of life in Hobbiton. However, tragedy struck when Frodo's parents drowned in a boating accident on the Brandywine River. At just 12 years old, Frodo was left orphaned, a young hobbit adrift in a world that had suddenly turned cold and uncertain. Following this loss, Frodo was taken in by his relatives, the Brandybucks of Buckland, a lively and unconventional branch of his family. Though the Brandybucks provided him with care, Frodo always seemed out of place, a solitary spirit among a bustling household. It was Bilbo Baggins, his eccentric uncle, who recognised something special in the lad. Bilbo, having no children of his own, adopted Frodo as his heir, bringing him to Bag End and giving him not just a home, but a purpose. Had Bilbo not intervened, Frodo might have remained with the Brandybucks, growing up in Buckland's unique culture, a life perhaps filled with family, but lacking the guidance and tales of adventure that only Bilbo could provide. It was Bilbo's influence that prepared Frodo, in ways subtle and profound, for the extraordinary journey that lay ahead. From the quiet of Bag End, Frodo's life seemed destined to follow the unremarkable path of a hobbit. Yet, fate had other plans. The inheritance of a simple golden ring from Bilbo would change not only Frodo's life, but the fate of Middle-earth itself. As we now turn to the journey that defined Frodo's destiny, we step into the harrowing path that led him to Mount Doom, where courage, sacrifice, and the crushing weight of the One Ring came to a head. After parting ways with the Fellowship, Frodo and Sam embarked on a perilous journey into Mordor, guided by Gollum. Their path was fraught with danger and despair, traversing desolate landscapes where the air itself seemed to bear the weight of the Dark Lord's malice. Through swamps filled with ghastly remnants of the dead and lands scarred by the enemy's touch, each step drained their strength and resolve. As they neared the borders of Mordor, Frodo and Sam fell into the clutches of orcs and were imprisoned within the Tower of Cirith Ungol. Though imprisoned and vulnerable, Frodo faced not only physical torment, but also the growing shadow of the ring's pull on his mind, as its weight became an ever more oppressive force. Yet, in this darkest hour, Samwise Gamgee proved the truest of friends. Infiltrating the tower, Sam confronted the orcs, who had turned to infighting, and rescued Frodo, reigniting their fragile hope. Sam ran forward, heedless of his own safety, and plunged into the chaos of the tower. His heart burned with a single purpose: to find and save Frodo, even if it cost him his life. Emerging from Cirith Ungol, the hobbits faced the lifeless expanse of the plains of Gorgoroth. The land was a barren wasteland, veiled in smoke and ash, reflecting the near hopelessness of their task. Their journey continued, fraught with exhaustion and despair, as Frodo's burden grew heavier with every step. To avoid detection, Frodo and Sam donned orc disguises and blended into a marching column heading toward Mount Doom. Though the effort pushed them to the brink of collapse, they eventually slipped away, continuing their ascent toward their final destination. At last, they reached the slopes of Mount Doom. The ring, now at the height of its power, tested Frodo's will with every agonizing step. As they climbed the jagged path to Samath Nar, Frodo's strength ebbed away. His hand clutched the ring, his mind torn between the quest's purpose and the overwhelming desire to claim it for his own. The entrance to Samath Nar, the crack of doom, lay ahead, the final threshold before the ring's destruction. Alone, Frodo stood on the precipice, faced with the ultimate decision. But as the fires roared below, the ring's seduction proved too great. In that fateful moment, Frodo declared the words that would echo through Middle-earth. The light sprang up again, and there on the brink of the chasm, at the very crack of doom, stood Frodo, black against the glare, tense, erect, but still, as if he had been turned to stone. Then Frodo stirred and spoke with a clear voice, indeed with a voice clearer and more powerful than Sam had ever heard him use, and it rose above the throb and turmoil of Mount Doom, ringing in the roof and walls. "I have come," he said, "but I do not choose now to do what I came to do. I will not do this deed. The ring is mine." And suddenly, as he set it on his finger, he vanished from Sam's sight. In the canon version, Frodo's declaration set into motion a climactic struggle. Gollum, driven by his obsession with the ring, attacked Frodo. The two grappled near the edge of the chasm until Gollum bit the ring from Frodo's finger. In his moment of triumph, Gollum lost his footing and plunged into the fiery depths of Mount Doom, taking the ring with him. The destruction of the ring led to Sauron's downfall, the collapse of Barad-dûr, and the liberation of Middle-earth from his shadow. But what if Frodo's story took a different turn? Imagine, in that pivotal moment, Frodo manages to escape Gollum's desperate attack. Clutching the ring tightly, he retreats from the edge of the chasm, his mind fully enthralled by its power. With Gollum thwarted and no immediate threat to wrest the ring from him, Frodo begins to succumb entirely to the will of the One Ring. Its power seeps into his very essence. The transformation is not immediate, but inexorable. The once bright light within him begins to dim, replaced by a shadow that grows with each passing moment. His thoughts, once filled with hope and determination, become twisted, consumed by visions of dominion and control. Frodo, the humble hobbit of the Shire, begins to fade, not into death, but into a spectral existence tied irrevocably to the ring. The Nazgûl, drawn by the will of their master, arrive at the crack of doom. Recognizing the power radiating from Frodo, they halt their attack. The energy of the One Ring emanates from him, commanding even their dark wills. Instead of killing Frodo, they obey the instinctive pull of the ring and escort him to Barad-dûr. Frodo's mortal form withers, his flesh paling as his body becomes a mere vessel for the ring's power. He does not become a Nazgûl in the traditional sense, bound by one of the nine, but something far more unique and terrifying. A wraith of the One, a shadow of Sauron's own will. Guided by the Nazgûl, Frodo returns to Barad-dûr, where Sauron awaits. The Dark Lord takes the ring from Frodo's hand, sealing his complete subjugation. Frodo's mind, once his own, is now a battleground of fleeting memories and the overwhelming presence of Sauron's will. Yet, deep within, a faint echo of the Hobbit remains, a cruel reminder of what he once was. As a wraith-like servant, Frodo becomes an instrument of Sauron's power, a tragic figure whose fall serves as a dire warning of the ring's true nature. His fate is a stark contrast to the hopeful ending of the canon story, a chilling reminder that even the purest hearts can be corrupted by ultimate power. With the One Ring now in his possession, Sauron's victory is assured. The Dark Lord, once a distant and shadowy menace, ascends to his full power, the very embodiment of dominion and despair. Barad-dûr becomes an unassailable fortress, its presence a beacon of fear across all Middle-earth. The free peoples, stripped of their greatest defenders and hope, crumble under the relentless advance of Sauron's forces. The lands of Gondor and Rohan fall swiftly, their cities left in ruin, their people enslaved. The North, once resilient, succumbs to the endless waves of orcs and Easterlings. The elves, no longer protected by their rings of power, abandon their homelands and sail into the west, leaving Middle-earth to its doom. The Shire, the once peaceful home of hobbits, is consumed by the shadow, its fields and forests twisted into a desolate wasteland. Under Sauron's rule, Middle-earth becomes a realm of perpetual darkness. The will of the Dark Lord bends all living things to his purpose, extinguishing freedom and hope. The elves' departure into the west hastens the waning of their once great civilizations, while the dwarves retreat deeper into their mountain halls, isolated and defeated. The men of Middle-earth, whether enslaved or coerced into service, are forced to worship Sauron as a god-king, with no hope of rebellion. Trade routes vanish, the lands fall barren under the shadow, and even the memory of resistance fades into myth. The fate of the world is sealed, and the light of the west fades into legend, leaving only shadow and despair. Yet, in the darkest moments of Middle-earth's history, hope has always found a way to endure. From the downfall of Morgoth in the First Age to the defiance of the last alliance against Sauron himself, the free peoples have risen against overwhelming odds before. Heroes emerged, and the light of Valinor shone through the cracks of despair, bringing balance back to a world on the brink. But what if this time no intervention came? If the Valar remained distant and Eru Ilúvatar withheld his hand, could the free peoples of Middle-earth still rise to resist? Could acts of bravery, sacrifice, and unity prevail against Sauron's overwhelming shadow? Or would this be the end of light, with hope fading into myth? The tale does not end here, and neither do the questions. What would you imagine happens next? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more explorations of Middle-earth's possibilities. Gwren Glasui. May the stars shine upon your faces.